here now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Your jacket.
Yeah. I got everything.
Hey.
Right.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
So
sweetie, I have several
you-
people you can call.
You stay in your. I'll be right over there in a minute. You don't need to move for me.
No, I will.
I'm right here. We're good. Let me move.
Okay.
This. There's always too many chairs.
I'm
in here.
about to check.
I just had to move to another chair. This one didn't
Yeah.
feel good.
Yeah. It's because because I don't know. It's not well. She should be here.
Joan, do you hear us? Joan, do you hear us?
We're at a break.
No, you're not.
Joan, do you hear us? Hello, Joan.
Which
Joan.
Which one do you need? Is it the bottom one?
Brandon will invest in the people of Chicago. Keep us safe and hold the power brokers in City Hall accountable.
We hear you.
We can trust Brandon.
Check. We hear you. Do you hear us?
He fought for our kids. And as a county commissioner, he delivered on the issues that matter
Can
most.
never be easy.
Nope.
So we can just recess
This is your
the
space.
time
I'm leaving for
and
now.
then call it back up.
Honey, it's not even all of that.
Yep. Reboot.
See, there you go.
Told her to reboot.
It's good to see you.
This is exciting.
Like that,
It's exciting, but I'm.
because I'm on
I
StreamYard.
really want that.
I do too. I know what's gonna.
Yeah.
What we have to understand is, no matter what, it's going to take a lot of work. Many people think that the election is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
It's the end of the beginning.
Yeah.
Because whoever gets there, you're gonna have to fight. If Brandon gets there, you're gonna have to fight even harder because the corporatists are already there. You know, I want him to win. That having been said, I'm gonna send you a couple of numbers, Vidalia. Oh, okay, let me just shut up while she's doing
One more.
this.
Yes, one more.
I'm gonna bring it to you. You're on 2.
And there's the bump for the election night coverage is in the bottom row.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear now? Joan, can you hear us now?
Oh, okay. And so, you know, I just know, as exciting as this is, it's an opportunity for us to learn politics.
Yes.
You know, my father often says that for Black people, we were in slavery longer than we've been free. And when the Voting Rights Act was signed, that's when we really got free on paper. Because it took 70 years to enact the voting amendment. And what LBJ said, just after he signed it, he turned.
Okay, we're coming back.
We are covering the election results tonight. Of course, polls close in just a few minutes. We are live with Santita Jackson and Joan Esposito. We'll be talking to a lot of folks out at the election headquarters of Brandon Johnson, Paul Vallis, as well as looking north to Wisconsin Supreme Court race. We're going to check in with some folks up there. Joan, how are you feeling tonight? She's not there yet. Santita, you're going to be on, I believe, till 9. Oh, you can't hear the.
Yes.
I think I unplugged you.
No, honey, don't worry about it. I can talk and I'm hearing you.
You're right. I'm
So,
right next to each other.
we'll
We're
get
like,
plugged in. It's all good.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'll also keep my ears open for Joan joining us. But you were saying some really important. You know what I always want to do is record the off-air conversations.
Oh, but see, that's why I do StreamYard.
Yeah.
So
you
that-
heard us talking. Did I
So
say
that
that?
no. But what I try to do is let people hear a lot of the back chatter. You know,
Yeah.
when Bedalia and I were working together, that was one of the things that we saw, that people really it's become a community. What we were talking about was the importance of the vote and how and America's really only been free since 1965, because if anybody is enslaved, if anybody doesn't have access to the vote, that means nobody does, because we're all in danger.
Right.
Okay.
Joan's on there
And
too.
so,
Joan's joining us.
Hey, Joan. And so what we were doing was just talking about that, you know, that we have not been a free society very, very long. And so what we have to do is understand politics and what it takes to get the things you may or may not get who you want, but you've always have the option of getting what you need, which means you've got to be active. No, I'm a singer, so you know how it goes.
Yeah.
But and so I want us to understand that no matter what happens tomorrow, the real work begins. What kind of schools do we want?
Mm-hmm.
Do we want affordable housing? Do we want access to equal high quality health care? Education? I mean, because when you look at crime, I mean, there are different conversations about what is really driving this election. And when you go to the Black and brown communities, it's a much more intersectional conversation. We don't just see crime. We say you close 50 schools in the Black community. We don't make enough. We have more, more days and we have money. I mean, it's just, it's just a whole lot of stuff. If you have a wage job in Chicago and in cities around the country and around the world, you can't live here. You can't rent, let alone buy. You cannot afford to go to the emergency room. And on and on and on it goes. So all of those things, when you rob people of their basic life options, you dehumanize them. And that's what happens.
And to be coming from a place of distress, it can be hard to have your voices heard. Joan, how are you doing? How are you feeling about tonight's coverage? And the I have a lot. This always makes me energized, and to be reminded about what this is, as Santita was saying, is that this is the end of the beginning. Now we have to get to work.
Got to get to work.
Well, Santita makes a really good point that I would like to echo, and that's no matter who wins the mayor's race, our work is not over. Whoever they are, whatever promises they've made, it is up to people to make sure that they follow through and make sure, regardless who's sitting in the chair, that people get the government that they want.
Yes.
And I think so many people have gotten so wrapped up into the personalities. This person wins or that person wins. Regardless of who wins, we still, whether you live in the city of Chicago or not, you still have the power to hold them accountable and to make them come through with what you want and what you need and make their lives miserable if they do not.
Well, and it's your obligation. I mean, if you are going to be a citizen, that is what being a citizenship costs. If we're going to have a constitutional republic and not a constitutional monarchy, we come from a constitutional monarchy. We took another step. We're not a democracy yet. We have elements of democracy. And so what we have to do is, as you said, tomorrow is the work. Yeah. See, the corporatists are already they're already at the gates. They're already on the 5th floor. They're waiting for whoever gets in there. Okay. But now the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, is letting us know, if you looked at March Madness, all your brackets were broken. Nothing happened the way you thought it was going to happen. And I believe that's what's going to happen here in Chicago. No matter what, it's a different city because it's a different time.
I'm excited. And this is something I talk about too, is vote is just part of it. I think Hal Sparks, remember when we were talking to him one election night that voting is like going out to the garden. You see what needs to be watered. You see what needs to be weeded. And you know what? There's a lot more work to be done. Knowing who your electeds are, having their email, telling your story, making sure they know who you are, your aldermen, your state reps. Those are the people that you can really...
Your county commissioners.
Exactly.
All of that. I think I need to come up just a little bit more. But,
I'm trying to figure out. I was trying to roll her
No,
up.
it's okay. I'm just, we're going to work it out. This is Bedalia. Come on.
Come on, Lady B. I don't mean to be giving you a hard time. Lady B, do we need to go to the news before we start the whole thing? Yeah. All right. So we're kicking off our now the polls are closed. They've been closed for 30, but if you're in line, stay there because you can still vote. And now let's kick it off. Let's Santita Jackson and Jonas Bezito kick off the first hour. And we're going to go to the news. Yes. Let's take a break here.
And then hour 2, and then hour 3.
Exactly.
And
all of it.
There were over 10,000 reasons.
Okay, thank you. I have to take off an ad.
Yeah, why is your mic? It sounds low.
Yeah.
Right. Find yours at steelusa.com.
I'll go over here for now.
It was like AOL.
President Donald Trump tweeted,
yeah, you can use my mic.
Yeah, I'll
be back in an hour.
That'll be in that until you get back. I'll just use
and we'll figure that out. Your headphones are good. That's a great for my computer. Yeah, put your computer on that.
Well, you know what? I was
Seriously.
trying to let them see.
But you can.
WCPT 8.
Oh, that's right. The thing back there. Absolutely.
And I was trying to see the both of us.
And then
Okay.
The top part is the election coverage that needs to be said at the top when I put the music. Either you
This
or
is this is nice. This is big enough for me.
I'm sorry.
I'm like,
I'm so sorry.
so I'll move this out of your way too. You don't need this then, right? Do you
no,
want it now?
girl, I can't believe she gave as old as I am. I can't believe she gave. Do you see how small this?
Let me see. That might be tough for me. It's tough for me.
Oh no, I have my reading glasses on.
All right, I'm going to get dinner.
Oh.
Anyone need anything while I'm out?
Honey, enjoy.
This is not something
Huh?
Woo-hoo.
that's for him.
We gotta tell them we're due at home.
Oh.
Okay, let me just get my.
You know what? If you don't mind, these two, the two Bedalia, the two people I sent to you, they are two Black women, and you can have them on your show too,
Yeah, love
Patty.
you.
They are legislators in Wisconsin,
Oh, great!
and State Senator Lena
Yes, please.
Taylor and State Representative Lakeisha Myers, who used to work for Danny Davis.
Okay.
You remember her?
Yeah.
And then Dwight McKee, who of course you love because he's
Yes. Yes.
So whatever you want to call Dwight, Lord. So he's ready to go, but they're all three of them are ready to go right now.
Okay.
So however you all want to do it, okay? Hey everybody, I wanted to bring you in here while I got Lady B in here. She looks gorgeous, as does Patty Vasquez. She's going to get something to eat. We all need to do that.
Hey, Joanna.
Oh.
Okay, there's election coverage brought to you by Liner that you need
Okay,
to.
I'll do it.
Santita can say it. So. Okay.
Thank you, sweetie. I got
Okay, because I
everything
gave
Thank you so
Santita
much.
I took the extra chair out, so we have a path to go into the bathroom.
you can go ahead and then I'll put cue the music and then bring it down.
You like
okay?
OJ.
Other coronation details. The palace announced 9-year-old Prince George, the king's eldest grandson and second in line to the throne, will be one of the 4 pages attending the monarch during the service.
Don't know yet, Dave.
No, it should be the same.
David, don't know yet.
It's the first one is Alderman Ray Lopez, correct? Okay, and the next one would be Max Bever, and then Greg Hines.
And let her know we'll weave a couple of other people out in for Wisconsin.
And then you got 2 guests. I'm sorry.
From the weather
And Dwight McKee.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about Chicago, I absolutely want to bring him in. But those 2 people are Wisconsin.
4 p.m.
They'll give you yet another perspective on it because they're in Milwaukee.
Slight chance for scattered
And
thunderstorms.
Santita
Most
has
it down
2
to about
guests
56.
too.
Three.
South winds,
State
15 to
Senator
20
Lena.
miles an hour.
Lena
And-
Taylor.
Scattered thunderstorms likely
And
tomorrow.
Lena
Temperatures
Taylor
reach up to 72.
and Dwight
Overcast
McGee,
skies.
too.
Lows
And
will walk around
State
34.
Representative Lakeisha
Tomorrow,
Myers, who
clear
worked for Danny
skies.
Davis.
That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Okay, I don't have
Right now,
Lakeisha.
it's
I thought I sent that
56.
to you.
No, I
Okay, I'm
only
sorry.
have
Oh no, honey, I'll
State
send it to you
Senator
right now
More importantly,
Let me do
how do you
that.
know if they're not?
because I just
Pharmacy,
called.
we know the
Okay,
only way to
Because
ensure
they're
your pumps
because they are
working
in
order is to test them
where are
every
they?
day. We all lead busy
Lord have
lives.
mercy.
Most people don't
They're
even
in
think about
Milwaukee.
their sump
Okay,
pumps.
if
It's a
we
big
can't
mess in the
squeeze them
basement.
at this hour because they
Pharmacy
already
can now
got
offer you
scheduled ones,
exclusively
Okay.
the
and
best
we could only
solution
do
to keep
5
your
minutes
basement
for each
cost
one.
No,
Is
no,
that
no,
right?
that's perfectly fine. I just
Okay,
we just
um,
want to get their
Basement
perspectives,
Defender,
right?
the
Yeah.
only device that will
Okay.
activate and test your primary and backup pumps every day and alert you to any problems. We'll also test and alert you to changes in your basement temperature and humidity levels, which can help avoid frozen
Okay,
pipes
I'm
and
sending.
costly mold
I'm sorry, I
issues.
thought I sent it to
Our
you.
Basement Defender customers
Okay.
have the ultimate peace of mind. They know that their pump equipment is working properly, allowing
shut
them
up,
to
'cause they're
rest
giving you too
peacefully
much.
during storms.
Oh,
Call Permaseal and ask about the Basement
Hmm?
Defender, 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net.
Don't best for me and
Better Permaseal.
Oh my god. Here, where's my music?
Tonight's election coverage on WCPT. with
So is
Jonas
Jones gonna read
Esposito,
the liner or
Santita
am I?
Jackson,
Let me
and
know.
Ronnie Vasquez is sponsored by
Okay.
Facio Insurance, an independent insurance agency serving residents and businesses in Will and DuPage counties. Roofers and waterproofers Local 11, proudly representing workers' rights in all segments of the roofing and waterproofing industries. And the Chicago Teachers Union, dedicated to advancing and promoting quality public education, improving teaching and learning conditions, and protecting members' rights.
Welcome to our election coverage. I'm Joan Esposito, and I am accompanied by the lovely Santita Jackson. Santita, how are you tonight?
Oh, girl, I'm your morning host, 6 to 8 a.m. I open everything off, kick everything off here on WCPT and on AM 950 radio. And we have people who are listening from Wisconsin as well. And so I'm really excited about all of the people that we're going to be bringing before the WCPT audience. And I have my people from Minneapolis, St. Paul who are listening too, and some people from Wisconsin. And so we're very, very excited because, this is a race, the Chicago race and the Wisconsin race, Joan, that they just riveted people. I mean, people were looking at Donald Trump today, of course, but that's almost like a distraction, quite frankly, because the Wisconsin Supreme Court, that can change the presidential election. And this is really, Chicago is going to let you know where the Democratic Party are.
And I was reading earlier today about some voting statistics for Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
If Wisconsin, if you win by like a quarter of a percentage point, that's like a landslide. These are always really great elections. But voter turnout is the typical voter turnout, like pre-pandemic for the spring election in 2019. There were fewer than 150,000 people voting. Right now, the Board of Elections there is reporting that as of this morning, like 460,000 people had voted. So turnout
Absolutely.
is amazing, at least in Wisconsin. And I really hope that means that the Democrat Janet Protasewicz is going to triumph here because you're right, it's going to influence the presidential election and it's going to determine what life is like in Wisconsin for the next 10 years.
And really for the rest of us, because Wisconsin is it's very akin to the way we are. It's a much more nuanced state. It's very progressive. It's very conservative. It's some of everything. And of course, Democrats outnumber Republicans, but because of gerrymandering, I think it's like the third or fourth most gerrymandered state in the United States. They have been able to arc the elections in the Republican direction, in the right-wing direction more than that, and in the corporatist direction, because you do have some corporatist Democrats now. We have to be mindful of that, Joan. So that having been said, what's going to happen in Wisconsin? I really, really am hoping that we will have, I'm just hoping that we will be inclined in a direction that Wisconsinites want to go. And I believe they want to move in a progressive direction. I really do. And I think that that's, if we vote our hopes and not our fears, as my father often says, we will have we'll have a different city in Chicago and we'll have a different country, and that is my hope and my prayer tonight. But either way, we got to get to work tomorrow. You know that.
And it's not just us watching Wisconsin. I've been reading a lot of coverage in the national press of people looking into this race because these two people running take the vacancy on the Supreme Court. Who will be the swing vote? Who will be the deciding vote on whether the conservatives have their way or the more liberal justices have their way? And the whole world is watching here because, we've heard people, both you and I've heard people get really dramatic about the mayor's race. Whoever wins, we're going to be okay. In Wisconsin, whoever wins is going to determine whether they live a life with absolutely no rights and the gerrymandering continues and fewer people are being allowed to vote, or the opposite of that. It really is how the quality of life they're going to have for the next decade.
Well, it's also the quality of life for us in Chicago, because I live on the south side of Chicago, and when I look at the south and west sides, when you have the head of the police union, and there are a lot of wonderful police, in Chicago and just in the force. When he says that there's going to be blood in the streets if Brandon Johnson wins, when he says that we're going to have mass resignations, that sends a chill through the Black and brown communities because of what we deal with. I mean, the clearance rate in the Black and brown communities, particularly for Black women, is it's just barely over 20%. So if a Black woman is killed in Chicago, you're never going to find the killer, for example. So when you've got that, I mean, we all have a lot on the line today. But I think one of the things that gives me hope, Joan, is this: voting is the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end. Tomorrow we've got to get to work no matter what, no matter who's elected. You've got to march, you've got to work, you got to call the people who represent you, because no matter whether you vote for Vallis or Johnson or Vallis, they're going to be your mayor, and you must push them to do what, not just whether you get who you want, you got to get what you need, right? So you got to push them no matter what. So much for that.
And I'm sure that, like you and me and Patty, we will be keeping a close eye on who occupies that office, and we will be holding their feet to the fire.
Yes.
And, there's the Kevin Zara thing. There has been so much over the top rhetoric in this race. I'm trying to remember if other races that I've followed got this hysterical. I mean,
Yes.
blood in the streets, for heaven's
Yes, it did. Remember Bernard Epton. Come on, girl, before it's too late. And sadly enough, you recall, see, I was in college, so I was away from Chicago at the time. But I was pledging my sorority. And my big sister, who's now a judge here in Chicago, she required that all of us get our votes home to Chicago. Did you get your FedEx in? Have you sent your absentee ballot in? But for him to say before it's too late, and then to know that this man who you saw struggling through the campaign was in the psych ward the night of the election. And we almost had a man who was struggling with mental health issues, someone who's mentally ill. Yes, that's where we are. That's where we were then. We've made a lot of progress. We still have a lot of distance to go, but it's incendiary now. It harkens back, if you will, to another time. But I think the wounds in the country and in the culture is so deep. You're just really digging. Healing is not a one and done, Joan. You got to dig real deep.
It's a process.
It's a process, and that's what we're watching. So.
We have a lot of aldermanic races that we may or may not be able to close tonight. 14 of them to count. And we have some current and former older people who are going to be joining us on this broadcast to bring us their point of view. Right now, current alderman Ray Lopez is here. He was one of the first people to throw his hat in the ring to be the mayor, and one of the smartest people when he pulled that hat back out and said, you know what, you guys have at it. Raymond, how are you tonight?
Joan, good evening.
Good evening.
Are you at home tonight, or are you at anybody's election headquarters?
I am at my election headquarters busy today, making sure that we can get the job done here for Paul Vallis on the southwest side. A flurry of activity not only today here, but the past 2 weeks. Trying to make sure that people were energized and excited from Harlem to Western and beyond. So hopefully the fruit of our labor will prove itself shortly.
To try and squeeze him in.
Were you surprised at how close this race has been? I mean, Brandon Johnson started off a little bit behind
Senator,
Mr. Vallis and seemingly has closed the gap to where a lot of the people I've been talking to today say they have no idea who's going to win tonight.
It was interesting to see the fact that Paul Vallis had such a large lead evaporate in a matter of weeks as Brandon Johnson revved up the troops and got the city pumped for change and his issues. The fact that I think that this might actually come down to a 3 or 4 point decision is incredible. And hopefully we have an answer tonight, but I will remind your listeners that because of vote by mail and some of the outstanding ballots circulating in the communities, we may not actually know for 2 more weeks.
And you know,
Oh,
and
please God, make that not be so.
no, that's Joan. I'm fine with that. No. You know, I'll tell you why I'm fine with that. Count every vote because every vote counts. I think that we're in a culture, we're in a microwave culture, right, Alderman? And we just want things to happen just like this, and they don't. They don't, and I'd rather them comb through, find the votes. Let's verify that they're authentic, and then we can know. And we'll have a whole lot of shows to do about that, Joe. So,
I will be the first one to say that, every vote does count. Every vote does matter.
Mhm.
And I think at the end of the day, what I've learned in the field is that we need to address some of the issues when it comes to getting these vote by mail applications out and to our seniors in a timely fashion,
Mhm.
especially after we had pushed for so many of them to sign up for permanent vote by mail, but also to see what we can do to ensure that their votes get delivered by UPS and returned by UPS to the Board of Elections in a timely manner, because nobody who's waiting for a ballot should still be waiting if it's permanently required for the board to send it, even today. And I've had plenty of seniors tell me, I signed up for permanent vote by mail status and I never got my ballot. And those should have been arriving.
Oh my gosh, yes. I signed up for permanent vote by mail, and my ballot arrived in the mail weeks ago. Because I was just every election, because I don't always remember things. I'm like, do I have to do something again? And then all of a sudden it comes in the mail and I'm like, oh, thank God. So yeah, I hadn't heard that there were seniors who were having a problem with late arrivals. We'll have to look into that. Maybe Max Bever from the Board of Elections can address that.
I've heard people talk about whether what's more important to have a big war chest and a lot of money, or whether to have a lot of volunteers and a ground game. Obviously, most candidates would like both, but if you had to pick which is more important to winning election or re-election, which would it be?
I think what's most important to winning elections in the city of Chicago, in particular, is you have to have a message. You have to have discipline to execute. You don't need to have huge armies to get the job done in the city of Chicago anymore, but you have to have a disciplined army who knows what they're doing in terms of making those calls, identifying your pluses and minuses, and getting your supporters out to vote, whether it's early voting, vote by mail, or on election day. And too often we're seeing candidates now, and the machine, the old guard, has fallen to the wayside. Either they have a message and no discipline, or they have discipline and no message, or they have neither of the two. And really, we start cultivating a better civic discussion. Because I think if you have better candidates, you'll have better leaders. If you have better leaders, ultimately, we'll undoubtedly have a better city.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it should be much easier for people to vote. I mean, if your bill collectors can chase you down, all seriousness, it was serious. I mean, but that happens, and and I think that as we find out who got their, I guess their vote by mail material, I think we have to look at the zip codes. Because in the wealthier zip codes, you get more efficiency. In the poorer zip codes, you get overlooked. And I've just seen it. I see it happen all the time. And so we really, we need to encourage the high school seniors to vote. Reverend Jesse Jackson has been saying for years, when you graduate from high school, you should have a diploma in one hand and a voter registration card in the other. That should just be a given. That's your ultimate civics lesson. I mean, if you want to walk out of high school feeling like you're an adult, well, and you must get registered for the Army, for the armed forces, the least you can do. Is. So, I mean, we've got to do much better, Alderman.
I think Santita, you bring up a wonderful point, that especially when we look at the 18 to 21-year-old participation, barely at 3.5%.
Why do you think that is?
I think we're just not imparting the tradition of voting, particularly in African American and Latino communities, the way that you've seen that done in other communities or in communities. I think we're seeing where our next generations are not being, for lack of a better term, indoctrinated And
Hmm.
our young people don't realize that they are only generations away from that history and that they are giving away what their grandparents and great grandparents fought in many cases died to get.
Oh, absolutely. But I think it also comes down to a sense of entitlement. You have too many of our brown children who have to fight to prove that they are citizens and that they belong, which has always been the fight for African Americans. And I think that when people feel entitled, uh, they register to vote, they participate. Also, when they feel hopeful, and I'm concerned that with de-dollarization happening around the world, with inflation rising in the United States, and with the narrowing of access to vocational education as well as academic, and just the things that make America America, that really make us great, I see a hopelessness in our children that, quite frankly, is unsettling to me. And I think that we're going to have to work on that. I want people to get registered to vote. I don't care who you vote for. I just want you to participate. Honestly.
We have a voice to do this.
Yes. Whew, you're going to make me pass that off.
Before we let you go, Alderman Lopez, is there a particular aldermanic race you're keeping an eye on tonight?
I think there were a couple of races that are toss-ups, but I know that I'm very curious to see how my incumbent aldermen do. I do know that Alderman Kelly Farrell will take very heated opposition from many stalwarts on the west side, including Congressman Danny Davis. I know that Alderman Gil Villegas has a wildly redrawn and stretched out 6 mile court.
Oodles of noodles. Remember those? Yes.
He came from a losing congressional race, so hopefully it doesn't hinder him. And as well, Monique Scott on the west side
Okay.
to the council.
What flag goes?
Johnson, I think, for it, so we want to see what happens.
What flag goes? Keep a special eye on them. Thank you so much, Alderman Lopez. Really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Ladies, it's always a pleasure.
God bless. Oh, Joan, it's a lot. It's a lot, but we have to pay attention to all of these races. I think tonight we have a lot to look at, Joan. A lot, a lot, a lot. I mean, the aldermanic races, and what else do we have? We have, we have someone who I know, someone who works with Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch, who you know from New Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church on the west side. In fact, they have an education program where they are helping young African American, uh, I'm not going to call them, they're not quite men. They're like Bedalia. Remember Boys to Men? Come on, Joan, you know them too. They kind of help to move them from boys to men. But he's been doing a lot of commentary. Of course, he's one of the founding members of Rainbow Push. He's uh, working with the National Action Network now as well. Dwight McKee, a brilliant social scientist and professor. And so he's with us today to give us some reflections tonight. I've been going since 2 o'clock this morning, Joan, pardon me. But he's here tonight to give us some reflections about what he's seeing in this election.
Hey, Dwight, welcome to our little show.
Oh, good evening. How you all doing?
We're great.
So what are you seeing, Dwight? Oh yes.
Yes, his 48-year-old daughter died.
Oh my gosh.
What I find is very interesting dynamic is you really split the divide between the cities, not just a divide based on resources and class, but based on ideology.
Mm.
And I think that the ideological divide is much more substantive and much deeper than in the past. Because what you're looking at is you're looking at on the link or much of the money is a lot of the different politics are offered. And so they will be more inclined to be involved with what Brandon
Brandon and Paul. I'm very interested in that because I think the direction they go in is the direction that the city goes in. William Hall is a good friend of mine, and so I'm a little interested to see how that works out. But I think because the nature of Chicago politics, with a strong mayor and generally a willing city council, I think that the mayoral race is preeminent in what the direction of the city, because I think that where they go, the city council will basically follow.
So what do you think is happening tonight? We've heard many reports that the heaviest voting, Joan, has been in white wards. And, you know, a lot of people would make a lot of assumptions about that. What do you think, Dwight?
Well, I think you have to go kind of ward by ward based on, again, the demographics of the city. Is that because a lot of the white wards are saturated in their votes, you really can't take for granted that all of those votes are going to ballots. Is that so? If it's the lakefront, for example, who has a very liberal bent, many of those votes may be going to Brandon. In the Boys Town neighborhood, which tends to be very white but also very liberal, many of them may be going to Brandon. But in the black community, there's a conservatism that is kind of unique. It's almost a Republican bent.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, the law and order crowd, are those who feel like safety is a major issue, may be inclined to go for Paul. If you look at those who've endorsed from those guys that Brandon and Paul ran against, many of the black guys who in that campaign, in that race, ended up endorsing Paul Vallis.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chicago is a very unique city that way. Is the politics, that's why I said, are not so much class-based, and in some instances not even that much race-based, as it is ideologically based.
We want everyone to call us. Mm-hmm. Mm.
The Board of Elections is reporting that with a little over 44% of the vote, which is of course less than half, William Hall right now has the lead, almost 60% to Richard Booth's 40%. So there's a little up to the minute update for you. Santita, we do have to take a break now, is that right?
Absolutely, but we want everyone to call us at 773-763-WCPT, 773-763-9278. Let's get your comments. Who you got?
Thank you for joining us. Santita and I are going to be right back after this.
CBT Willow Springs
I'm
is
sorry to
powered
give you
by
another thing
ComEd.
to
See
do.
how ComEd is preparing for a clean energy.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to give you another something to do.
That's okay. This is okay. I gotta make sure the transcript is running.
Oh, no worries. Okay.
Let me get the next guy.
Just trying to. Oh.
Okay. At 7 a.m. tomorrow morning until 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Cloudy skies tonight with a slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows get down to about 56. South winds 15 to 20 miles an hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 72.
Oh, wow.
Overcast skies.
They're threatening.
Two-thirds of the votes in Dallas is up by 2%.
It's going to be like this, I think.
It was at 56%. It was up by 4%.
Okay, I just think it's going to be tight.
And 10% more came in, and we lost 2% of his lead, or half his lead.
where he needed a recommendation.
You know, my stomach.
But 2/3 of the way in.
Remember, I had stomach surgery. You don't want my stomach turned into a nut. You have to take the Northwestern. My doctor is Dr. I might need to go.
This is a WCPT.
Hi,
Hey, Joan, are you on the Signal?
Santita Jackson. How are you today?
Okay, the Signal app.
Oh, that's great.
66% of the vote is
So
in
we're
ballots,
just on the
up by
break,
2
so we're
percentage
just
points.
a minute and
I
45
have the Board of
seconds.
Elections
Okay.
site.
Did you see Gardner?
Gardner?
83% was in. He's up by 9 points.
They did the write-in votes, so the mail-in ballots.
Yeah,
are talking about the
that's a
ballots on
huge
that.
gap to overcome. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Who's just calling? Oh, my mom called. Great. Okay.
That's why I'm talking not about an assault weapons ban this year, but around training, around raising the age, around background checks, just trying to make some progress to make sure that weapons are only getting into the hands of law-abiding citizens. So I'm open for any discussion with Republicans about how we can show this country that we take their kids'
We could
protection
do
seriously. For WCPT,
You want to do Wisconsin?
Wisconsin after
this is a national healthcare
Hey,
alert.
Great
Mom,
Plains.
I'm at the radio station doing the show.
If you, a family member or a loved one, has
I have no idea. Apparently, Paul Vallis was up by 4 points. And but you know, as more votes come in, the gap continues to close. So we do not know. Will Hall looks like he's going to win his race with 44% coming in. He's got 60% of the vote. That's a comfortable lead.
In addition, we'll give you a free pair of diabetic socks as our special gift to you, regardless of your age. If you suffer with diabetes,
Oh, really?
insurance, you may qualify
Okay.
to get free delivery of your supplies.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
800-442-0819. That's 800-442-0819.
Okay. Well, we're going to go back on the air in a couple of minutes. So, okay, gotta go. Bye.
You are listening to the WCPT election night coverage. I'm Joan Esposito. I am joined by the lovely Santita Jackson, who takes our days off every morning at 6 a.m. And we are both joined, by Max Bever from the Board of Elections. Right now, according to the Board of Elections website, 66% of the precincts in the city of Chicago reporting, and it looks like there's about a 21,000 vote split. Paul Vallis right now at this moment leading Brandon Johnson by about 21,000 votes. So that's roughly a hair under 49% to a hair over 51%. But a big part of how things will finally end up has to do with mail-in ballots. Max, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How many mail-in ballots were sent out? How many do you have back so far?
First, thanks for the invite. So as of last night, we had just over 91,000 outstanding vote-by-mail ballots. So that's everything that had not arrived back to the board as of last night, April 3rd. Now, we don't expect all of those ballots to come back, but we do need to count all properly postmarked but late arriving ballots until April 18th is the election code deadline. And if we take a look at what happened just for February 28th, where we went into election day with 100,000 vote-by-mail ballots outstanding. Over the next 2 weeks and on election day, 52,000, just over that, came back. So I'm thinking that we probably have about a 52% return rate of that 91,000 outstanding vote-by-mail ballots, likely putting us in between 45 to 47,000 that will likely arrive back over the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so as the evening wears on, if all the precincts are finally reported and one of the mayoral candidates is up by, let's say to be safe, 50,000 votes over the other, then we pretty much have a winner regardless.
Yes, and I think that's what happened in February 28th, where many people in the campaigns were prepared for very close races, But about by 9 p.m., it seemed like most of the math had shaken out towards who were the top two contenders. Now, that was with 9 candidates. This time it's only between 2. And as you just mentioned, it's getting very close so far with the precincts that are reporting. So it's seeming more and more that we'll likely have to see how all of these vote-by-mail ballots shake out. Now, the majority of those vote-by-mail ballots do come back on Election Day, as well as the immediate 3 to 4 days after Election Day. So we'll probably have a clear picture of the vast majority of those vote-by-mail ballots coming back by next Tuesday. But again, we at the Chicago Board of Elections, we don't call any race until every vote is counted. We also probably have a number of provisional ballots that were cast today. That deadline to count all those vote-by-mail ballots is April 18th. So we'll likely not have a proclamation until at least April 19th or the 20th. So if this stays close, I imagine these campaigns will be looking to those vote-by-mail totals day by day.
Well, Joan, you know what I'd like to know is is there oh yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to know, is there a demographic breakdown on who votes by mail? Is it seniors who vote by mail primarily? I mean, who votes by mail?
It's pretty egalitarian in Chicago. A lot of millennial voters do like voting by mail. It's not necessarily one age group over another. Yes, and that was the case for February 28th, too, where a lot of our late-breaking vote-by-mail ballots, once we took a look at the age group turnout, were more of the millennial group, more specifically 35 to 44. So it doesn't stick to one group over another. So that's why there is a big question mark about how many of those vote-by-mail ballots we're going to get back and how they're going to shake out.
Santita earlier tonight was talking with one of our guests about youth voting. Do you have an age breakdown yet of the votes that have been cast?
I do. So there was some improvement from younger voters comparatively to people who showed up in February 28th. In fact, the largest increase we saw was within the 35 to 44 age group comparatively to February 28th. Generally, most of those ages have actually evened out percentage-wise of the ballots cast by age group. Unfortunately, our voters age 18 to 24 is still our lower turnout, and that's been something that's been stubbornly true decade after decade with youth turnout for municipal elections. Presidential election years, that really gets youth turnout. We see upwards of 60, 70, even 80% of those young voters show up for presidential elections. That gets cut down for midterms, but they show up for those too. But municipal elections has been stubbornly tough. And as of tonight, voters age 18 to 24, just over 20,000 ballots were cast for nearly 4% of the ballots cast so far.
Santita, the Board of Elections just updated their site, and the race for mayor just got a lot tighter. There's about a 2%, less than 2% difference now between Brandon Johnson and Paul Vallis. Paul Vallis lead of what looks to be about roughly 1%. Max, when you say that 1,000 precincts are reported, do the precincts all report at the same time, or are there usually precincts that are going to be late in reporting? In other words, is this a fair snapshot of the vote at this time, or is it a little unbalanced?
It looks like the precincts are reporting back quick. It's all up to whether or not the precinct has closed on time, if there was a line of voters still, that everything that the election judges are taking care of gets taken care of. But once all of that is done, that precinct reports its results back to the board central here. And then the tabulated votes that were already counted for early votes, as well as vote-by-mail ballots that were received as of April 3rd, are automatically tabulated with those precinct results and are now being made public. So as soon as that precinct's done reporting, that's actually including those precinct numbers, as well as early votes and vote-by-mail ballots received by April 3rd. Now, what you see on the website right now is going to just be citywide or ward-wide for the alderperson races until about 11 o'clock or midnight, when it switches over to the ward to precinct results. So if you're staying up late tonight, make sure you're going to chicagoelections.gov. Around that time is when the ward by precinct results for the races will start to be available.
Well, I am on the website right now. I am looking, I'm going race by race by race by race. But I think it's the spirit of the times. I really do. Look, if you had brackets set for March Madness, they were busted. And who would think that? I mean, really. And so we have this candidate who was like middling in the summertime and just very steadily went from strength to strength. Paul Vallis held on to his strength and continued to grow too. So, we will see. But now it's like a 49-50 split as of this minute.
In other words, it's going to be probably not decided tonight based on the numbers we're seeing right now. But Santita never sleeps. So she'll be looking at all the numbers all night long.
Yes, I will.
She goes back to work again.
I'm up at 2:00 in the morning, but this is what we have to do. And I am anxious to have you on my show as well at 6:00 in the morning. Oh.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'd be happy to join sometime soon in the future. We'll be up late tonight, and we'll be up early in the morning. It looks like we will. A lot of attention are going to be on these vote by mail ballots. We will make sure to update everybody as they come in, but it's going to be a day by day. It looks like moving forward.
Yeah, it sure does. From the Board of Elections telling us that if past history is accurate of the 90,000 mail-in ballots yet to be received, we will probably see 45 to 47,000 of them actually show up, and they will be counted, and we may not have a mayor until that takes place. Max, thanks so much for being here. Always appreciate your time. I know how busy you are on election night.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. And Santita's she's going to hold you to that. You're going to get a call from her saying, Max, how about 6 a.m. Next week? Okay.
Don't prejudice him against me, Joan. Stop. Thank you. The people will hate me when I have to call so early. Oh.
Thank you so much, Max. Santita, are you surprised that it is this close? I mean, I guess one of the guests that I have on all the time, I think he's on later tonight, is Eric Zorn, and he predicted today that by 9
p.m. tonight we would know who the next mayor was. I don't think he was right about that.
Well, that's wishful thinking. I mean, I think that absent the absentee ballots, you'll have some sense, but you won't know. I mean, because this race has continued to move. You've watched Brandon grow and grow and grow, and you did not see Paul Vallis lose ground. So with that, and given all that's happening politically in this country, all that's happening socially and culturally in this country, you cannot make predictions that accurately. Because also, remember, in 1983, when Harold Washington won, he shocked the city. Of course, you would remember that quite well. And because the Black voters, the Latino voters who had been registered and who voted for him had not been polled. They'd not been counted. And that's still pretty much the case. They're the uncounted, or they're the undercounted. But I think that Dwight McKee made a brilliant point about the fact that in Chicago, many of the splits are more ideological than they are based on color or anything else. So with that, and because we're so much more nuanced, we're much more than Republican and Democrat. We're much more than progressive and liberal and conservative. We're a mix of many things. And, it's a Rorschach test. That's what it is when you vote. You know that. It's just you project onto a candidate what it is that you want and need from him or them. Him, her, them. So you gotta keep up with the pronouns today. And I'm not mad. Just help me.
We have another guest, Greg Hines from Crane's Chicago Business is here. Greg, you are on with me.
And Santita Jackson, how are you tonight?
I'm fine. How are you, ladies?
We're a little giddy, a little slap happy, but we're holding in. We're holding in.
Well,
okay, good, excellent. Are there any other than the mayor's race, any races that you're paying attention to tonight?
There are, but I got to start with the mayor's race. It looks to me. At the moment, Vallis is only ahead by about 2,400 votes, with about 20% of precincts yet to report. That might be real close,
but remember, we got all these absentee ballots, these mail ballots.
I know.
And conventional wisdom is that they're going to largely vote for Johnson. So Ballots needs to build up a lead tonight.
Why is that the conventional wisdom? Explain that to me.
Because Johnson did much better with the mail ballots in the first round and the temporaries and ballots than anybody else, and because he has a much better mail operation. The ballots people didn't put a lot into mail.
Huh.
To add all that together, and it says that if he's going to win in the end, Ballots has got to have a pretty good lead tonight. With 2,500 votes, ain't going to do it.
Uh-huh.
So you asked me about the other races just quickly. It looks like if the figures are final, it looks like Jessica Gutierrez lost for Alderman in the 30th ward. She's the daughter of a former Congressman Luis Gutierrez. It looks like Gil Villegas, who ran for Congress and then decided to lost his congressional bid and ran to retain his aldermanic seat. He's going to hang out of that in the 36th ward. And you have a nail biter in Lincoln Park in the 43rd ward, where Timmy Knutson is ahead of Brian Comer at last check with 2 precincts yet to report by all of 400 votes.
Yeah, I know that's a really close one. Timmy Knutson, of course, appointed by Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and Brian Comer, longtime head of a very active organization in the 43rd ward.
One other one might be worth mentioning in this year's the Battle of Uptown, which is always a lively aldermanic. It looks like Angela Clay is going to prevail over Kim Walz.
Which is interesting, since Kim Walz had all the endorsements and a lot of big name support.
She did, but Clay had the support of United Working Families and the Chicago Teachers Union, which are flexing some muscle this time, and a former Alderman Helen Schiller and what's left of her organization.
And in the 45th ward, with 100% of the precincts reporting, and again, if somebody has voted differently by mail-in ballot, with these numbers could change, but it looks like Jim Gardner held on to the seat there, challenger Megan Mathias. Yeah, coming up short.
I got to go, Joan, but if I were Brandon Johnson, I'd be pretty happy at this point. That's my bottom line.
Okay, we'll hold you to that prediction, even though you actually sort of weaseled away without actually making a prediction. But appreciate that, Greg Hines from Crane's Chicago Business. Santita, Crane's was pretty tough on Brandon Johnson, at least in the beginning of his campaign. They actually went to the editorial board, came out and did this big editorial saying, here are the taxes that he says he's going to impose to pay for his programs, but we think, frankly, they're all bad, and here's why. It's going to be interesting to see how he smooths things over with the business community, if indeed Greg is right and Brandon Johnson holds sway.
Well, I'm not surprised by that, because Crane's is business. That's what they do. It's corporatist, and there's nothing wrong with that. What you want is some balance. And so I think that at the end of the day, what's going to happen is I think that people are going to hold. I think that, look, we all need each other. If you want to stay in business, you need customers. So you need people. And customers need to be able to, we need to at least make the sense that Henry Ford made more than 100 years ago. He paid his workers enough to buy the cars that they made. So you've got to do that. I think that Brandon can have, Commissioner, and maybe Mayor Johnson can have a great relationship with the business community. He needs to, but he needs to keep an eye out for the people. I think that Mayor Vallis can have a great relationship with the people, as he is very, very close to the business community. You've got to have balance, but people have to be in the mix. That's not what's happening right now. Too many African Americans and Latinos who want to be in business, who want these city contracts, they don't have access to them, Joan. Our schools are failing, and they don't have to. I'm a proud product of Chicago Public Schools, K through 12. I say this all the time, only just as an example. Michelle Obama was my classmate. When she got to Princeton, I was accepted at Harvard and Yale and turned it down to get a full scholarship to Howard. I was a merit scholar. It is possible to do that coming out of a public school. And you don't have to go to Whitney Young as we did. When I was a child, South Shore and Kenwood, which is where I wanted to go, Lindblom, CVS, we have had great schools. And we need to reinforce those. We need to have Stroger should be on par with Northwestern, and Rush. I just believe that everybody should have access to the best, no matter what. I'm so grateful that my parents, my father who will be 82 come the fall, should Lord give him time, and my mother who is 79, they have access to great health care, thank God. But most people their age do not. And mhm. Ah,
George, thanks for
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Not yet.
well,
We're getting him up.
okay, Walter Burnett.
No, we're getting him up.
Okay, we're getting up. Okay, well, that's good. Well, but this is very exciting because, we're watching as I look at this. I'm on the Chicago Board of Elections site right now.
Good.
The lead is
Don't get
49.96%.
ready.
Brandon Johnson, 50.04%. Paul Vallis is just, goodness gracious. Ooh, I think my stomach is too much.
Matt, if we don't have Walter Burnett, I think Santita has a guest who's ready to join our conversation.
Okay, stand by. I have George Bliss.
Well, is that who we have right now? We have
I have George Bliss.
we have George Bliss.
Yeah.
Okay, George Bliss. Actually, we have our friend George Bliss. Now, why does he evoke a giggle from you? We love George. We love him, and he's all over the place. So much energy, and we love you, George Bliss. How you doing? Wow.
And the whole thing of counting the votes that were mailed in, that's crazy stuff. That's all said and done. So that might be decided for the time, and there are votes that make a difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Max Weber told us that
he did.
we're expecting at least 45 to 47,000 mail-in ballots yet to be counted. The question is, which way are they going to go? And it's so funny.
You have
everybody I
a
talked to
commissioner
has an
stand
opinion on that.
more?
We just heard Greg Hines saying, oh,
Yeah, she got George Bliss right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're gonna switch to you, okay?
that's something that older voters like to do.
No, you introduce the commission. I'm gonna go to you, then you switch to commissioner.
Joan, we don't know.
Okay.
The fact is, George, Joan, look, if you had brackets going into March Madness, they got busted the first weekend. Let it go. Let's just let the process roll on, because also you've had some people really trying to use incendiary language to make people frightened of this process of counting every vote as every vote counts. We're going to deploy people to the election sites to make sure you don't steal the vote. Stop that. It takes time. It takes time. But some of our Latino brothers and Latinos and Latinos have been out canvassing for Brandon Johnson, for example, and they had their tires slashed today, and they felt very intimidated. I'm hoping that we can get some people to call in to talk about that, because it was very disturbing. In fact, they called the Transformative Justice Coalition out of Washington, D.C., and Kwame Raoul and others to look into that, because people actually felt physically threatened today in Chicago. And so, I hope that as we go forward, we will be looking at those things, at those instances in which people did not feel that they could canvass safely in Chicago.
Absolutely. Based on everything reading social media, everybody's got everybody's phone number and email and address. It's not a good thing. Doxing is bad. You understand that. Everybody knows everybody lives. It's not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Oh,
I see a good friend of Santita here. Santita, you got so many friends.
Yes, everywhere. You know that.
So it's quite crazy now. I just talked to Jackie Bank from Channel 9, Joni, and
She said, I promise I'm going to be calling Joan. I had to yell at her a little bit, you know.
Oh, yeah. She owes me a dinner. She's just trying to get out of it, George. She's slippery that way. Lady B, I'm a little confused. Who do we have on standby? Do we have a Lakeisha Myers or not?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And we also have Jerry Rouse too.
Okay. Well,
Excellent.
who do you want to go to?
Santita,
Because
you want to introduce
absolutely, indeed, she's someone who you would want to have on your show because she used to work for a Congressman Danny Davis, but now she's a state representative in Wisconsin. State Representative Lakeisha Myers, who is in. She's also been a school teacher, and she is in Milwaukee. And of course, we've got this consequential Wisconsin state Supreme Court race, which you've been talking about, Joan, so brilliantly. And I want to know, and I think we all want to know, what are you seeing, State Representative Myers?
Well, first of all, thank you all for having me. We are down to the wire here in Wisconsin. Our polls close at 8 p.m., so we've got probably about 3 minutes left before we see polls close here in Wisconsin. As you know, we have a very important state Supreme Court race that is, one of the biggest races in the country that we're watching for a spring election today. We have Judge Janet Kotashewicz, who is more of a liberal-leaning judge, versus Dan Kelly, who is a MAGA Republican judge who has been endorsed by former President Trump. So that is the issue. Those are the two candidates that we have here in Wisconsin. We also have a lot of referendums on our ballot here. And one of them is a county informational referendum from Milwaukee County that asks if we would like our 1849 abortion ban repealed that we had when the Dobbs decision came down some months ago. That immediately enacted a retroactive law that we had on the books of Wisconsin, which made a big difference in the state of Wisconsin and some of the outcomes for people making or no longer having that particular option available to them in our state. So those are some key issues that we have going on in Wisconsin today. Turnout in Milwaukee has been slow and steady. We had rain here today, but we're trying to make sure we get out the vote. Our local chapter of Soul to the Polls is giving people rides here in the city of Milwaukee. Our early vote numbers were fairly good. So we are just sitting on pins and needles waiting for a lot of our judicial races in the city to wrap up today. Quite a few of our judges ran unopposed. However, I know you know Senator Taylor. She's running for municipal court judge here in Milwaukee today. So we are anxiously awaiting to see the results of that particular race that we have. And we have quite a few school board races. I know you mentioned kind of that correlation with Commissioner Johnson and Paul Vallis with his education background and how important local elections are for our school board races. So I don't know if you all had any in Chicago, but I surely hope people did not kind of look at the big ticket race, which was the mayor's race there, and not vote in any of those smaller races down the ballot. So we were making sure that we tried to get folks to complete their entire ballot here and make sure that they had their voice heard in all of those races.
Well, you can tell the state representative, Lakeisha Myers, is a teacher. She dots every I and crosses every T.
Board of Elections site, and Brandon Johnson has taken the lead from Paul Vallis. It's still, it's still ridiculously close. A little over 50% to a little under 50%. But Brandon Johnson has taken the lead in this mayor's race.
Yes. So what do you have to say about that? You're a Chicagoan, even though we share you with Wisconsin. You're Wisconsinite. I get it.
I thought that this was a very, very interesting race from the get-go. I was on your show with Brandon, I think, a couple times, and that is how I was able to meet him and know him. I've actually been in conversation with Paul Vallis before because of my family in New Orleans when he was the chancellor there for the Recovery School District. So I know both of them. I think that they both have very good strong suits. It'll be interesting to see what Chicago have chosen at the end of the night. So I think that is a very close call, and I wouldn't expect anything else with the two candidates that you had.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Great talking to you, Santita. Thank you so much for reaching out to her. We are going to take a break right now, and when we come back, Santita, who is on day and night at this station, and 6 a.m. is going to still be here with Patty Vasquez. I will be back in an hour at 9 o'clock.
Try Crest Densify. Crest Densify.
And you know what? We'll have, and the woman who's running for judge, that state senator, Lena Taylor.
Okay.
Okay. So if we can get her before.
Yeah, can we?
Yeah, you see Brandon was in the lead.
Let me see.
And come on, what you got to say, Patty?
And mail-in votes. Mail-in, when we count the mail-in, chances are he's ahead there too. Just saying. And George saying when all is said and done, we still have the mail-in ballots. No, it's said and done when we have the mail-in ballots counted. Just saying, every vote has to be counted.
Okay, we're trying to get Patty to calm down. And
I'm so excited.
That's calm down.
Hey, it's the voice of the people. It's where we get to exercise our American rights.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm so excited.
It's very exciting.
Let me see if I can get my brother.
I'm done.
Let me see if I can get my brother Congressman Jackson on.
Oh, I have.
You want me to try and get him?
Jerry. Yeah, we can squeeze
Jerry
him
Riles.
Oh, okay.
after Ken Buckner and
Cam's at 8:15.
yeah, Senator
I'll leave Jonathan alone.
Lena.
We're good.
But we got Jerry Riles who has Commissioner Stanley Moore.
Okay.
I'm so happy.
Honey, well, let's you know,
focus.
No, not only that, let's just
pace ourselves.
Yes,
Pace ourselves.
because you gotta, as they say, pace yourself, don't race yourself.
That's right.
Okay, so now you want to check this mic so we can see if.
Oh yeah, we were having trouble before on that one. Right?
Oops, it was a
Do you want me to go in the corner?
No.
Would that be better in the corner?
No, because we need this.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Oops.
What, your mic too wasn't working?
No,
my mic was too low.
Okay, you're fine because we were able to hear you.
Okay.
No, but she was using my mic. Yeah.
Okay, but I can just put all three. 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, give her. We can swing that mic over.
Yeah. Is she able to reach?
Oops.
Just
Hold on. I'll do it. Ooh, I can bring this right here.
Oh, what's that? We can actually
Do it just like that. I just want to make sure that they can see both of us here.
How's that?
That's good. We're good.
Social media accounts of
I just-
Stephen Colbert, Jennifer Garner, and Lupita Nyong'o are nominated. Other nominees.
I just want to make sure that we can.
Commercial and the corn loving kid for
Oh, right here.
recess therapy.
Patty, let everybody know when they can hear you.
I am on from 5 to 7 p.m. here in Chicago, and so it's Central Time, Monday through Friday. So you listen to us all day long. Very excited.
And into the night.
Basketball game
No, if Greg Hines is correct, that's a good
I'm
thing.
Ben Thomas, AP News.
Joan Esposito,
We'll
live
see.
local and
All this no bias. But you know what? Everybody's got their preferences. You just want to be fair. Right?
Well, speaking of that, what did you think about Jill Biden's original invitation for Iowa to come to the White House after LSU won?
Information is power.
Right?
No.
I think she's rescinding it. I heard that she was walking it back.
It's one thing.
It's watering down women's sports. Oh, but these people are so cute.
Right.
It's a participation award.
Look, if you want to invite Clark,
Yeah,
Caitlin. If you want to invite her because of her record-setting performance, invite her.
Yeah, why would you wade into that battle too?
Right.
I mean, like,
You know, he always does that.
yeah.
No,
Well,
I mean,
it was Jill. Jill invited.
no, I'm just saying they have that history.
Yeah,
The
that's
thing
true.
is, just stop it. These girls won.
Yeah. Just when the men win, you don't invite.
You won. Now you know what, and you have to learn to take your hits.
Right.
Yeah.
You did not win. I got you.
She had a
Boo.
great tournament. That's in a second.
But you didn't win.
Right.
The first game they didn't win.
And stop
And-
trying. Don't do that.
Oh, I agree.
No, you didn't win.
Oh, because they did this when after you did it.
What? But I mean, and all she did was Look,
the
these
National
these
Labor
folks
Relations
are
Act.
competitors.
Yet somehow the
This
practices
is
that
what you,
union
and in the
listed
he
are
she
still
just went,
happening today.
all
This has
right,
been a WCPT
we got you.
She did
moment
the
in
same
labor.
thing that
We
she
are
saw
working
her
for
do
your
on the
rights.
game before.
If you are a first-time
Do you
home buyer,
understand?
which means
I mean,
you have not owned
Kobe
a home
and
within the
Shaq
past 3
and
years,
Magic,
Trash
this is
talk is
what
part
y'all
of the
do.
game.
your trusted local lender. I have very,
This is
very,
what you
very
do. So what are you talking about?
Believe me,
Draymond Green, no one gets more
Due to
wound
the
up about a
rapid
game.
increase in interest rates last year,
Right,
many
but it's okay
first-time
for a
home
man to
buyers
do it.
couldn't afford
It's
to
okay for a
purchase a
white
home.
woman to do
And
it, I
Fannie
guess,
Mae and
right?
Freddie Mac wanted to
Well,
turn
now
those
there you
numbers
go.
around and help first-time
Because
home
there's
buyers
that.
qualify
Yes.
with lower
There's
interest
that. I
rates.
mean, and
If you
and
were
she's
less than
genuinely
or
great that she
equal
didn't
to
win.
Yeah.
So don't split hairs here.
And
She
I'm
didn't
sure
win.
Lincoln finished second.
Past 3
And
years,
guess what? And
Fannie
the
and
other
Freddie are
team,
incentivizing you
Won.
to purchase a home with lower rates.
they
No,
won that
I'm
game.
not
And
making
you know
this up.
what?
To see if you
Learn to live
qualify,
with it.
give me a call
It'll
now
make
at
you a better
855-56
person.
David
Yes.
or visit
Go
our
back and get
website
them next time.
56david.com. That number once
Okay.
again is
When we used to do
855-563-2813.
the
Visit
coverage,
our website
Into the coverage?
56david.com.
the top is highlighted.
Housing lender,
Yeah.
NMLS
Sure. Can we do it?
1124061.
That's all
Some
I'm
people
doing.
won't give you the real talk on drugs.
Thank
But
you.
it's time we know the
Hey,
facts.
everybody. Okay,
Fentanyl
it's
is
tied
often linked to
50-50.
illicit
Oh, yeah.
drugs. They
It
used
looks
to
like
make
it.
fake versions
No,
of
actually, it's
prescription pills.
50.1
You can't
and
see it, but you can taste it or smell it.
49.6.
Suppliers mix fentanyl
For
into
49,
their products
49.9 if you round it up. So,
the dealer might not
It's,
even
it's
know.
like saying,
Keep
oh,
yourself
Paul
and others
Vallis ran a
safe
great
by knowing
campaign.
the real deal on fentanyl. Get the facts. Go to
you need to go to England.
realdealonfentanyl.com.
Yeah.
Licensed
Can you imagine?
Council.
Okay, we're coming back.
Oh, man.
Because facts matter.
Tonight,
Sylvia watching from San Diego. Hey, girl.
with Joan Esposito, Santita Jackson, and Patty Vasquez is sponsored by Fazio Insurance, an independent insurance agency serving residents and businesses in Will and DuPage counties. Roofers and water.
You want me to repeat that? Everything he just said?
You know what?
Yeah, do it.
Do it.
Okay.
And waterproofing industries and the Chicago Teachers Union, dedicated to advancing and
That's all
promoting
you need to
quality
do.
public education,
You want to get into a
improving
fight
teaching
about
and learning
that.
conditions, and protecting members'
Not
rights.
that you would, but you know what I'm saying. So,
We are continuing election night coverage. It's exciting. And I'm so thrilled to be in studio with one of our hosts tonight, Santita Jackson. Of course, also streaming live. Let folks know where they can also watch the...
look, you can go to the Santita Jackson and Friends face. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Which one's on?
The
Let's put 'em all
Santita
on.
Jackson and Friends Facebook page.
Yes.
And you can go to
Your
the
YouTube?
Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel, which
Yes.
Bedalia set up. Thank you very much. And so we're very, very excited about that. And I want to say hello to my morning star, Sylvia Galvez from San Diego. Of course, Shirley from beautiful Philadelphia. Hope they can drink the water there now.
Right.
Mike Wilson from Houston, Texas. Chapearl from here in Chicago. Mike and Andre from here in Chicago. We got a lot of people listening from, quite frankly, all over the world. And so we're very, very excited because everyone wants to know what's happening in Chicago, and everyone also wants to know what's happening in Wisconsin.
We are going to check in with our friends in Wisconsin as well. And we
Ooh.
are grateful to all the wonderful folks listening, watching. We're also grateful for our sponsors for the election night coverage here on WCPT, brought to you by Fazio Insurance, Roofers and Waterproofers of Local 11, and the Chicago Teachers Union. And some of that counting started coming in fast. That was like,
well, you know, I think
crazy
it's because
fast.
we're watching everything change, right?
We are
You
watching.
know, I mean, it's just at first, you know, but Matt Cummings, you know, our leader here at WCPT, was letting us know that the gap was closing. It's since I've been here, what, a little more than an hour and a half. We watched Paul Vallis's lead go from 4 points to 2 to dead even. Now Brandon Johnson is slightly ahead. And look, everyone's got their preferences. We just want fairness, and we are willing to wait for however long it's going to take to make sure that every vote counts, because every vote does matter. I think April 18th is the date that we were told that they will have all of the mail-in ballots in, and they will have them counted. And I'm willing to wait.
Absolutely.
I think, you know, I'm not from the. You can't really make grits in the microwave, right?
Oh gosh, no.
Or rice.
No.
Okay. So it takes
It's barbaric.
Well, yes.
A little bit. A little bit. Yeah, that comes out wrong.
Yeah, just a little. So it takes time. I guess that's my only point.
And let's check in with the with Brandon Johnson's election night headquarters, where we have Jerry Riles one of our field reporters standing by. Hi, Jerry. How's it going? What's the energy like?
Girl, wait a minute. He
What?
was my boss at WVON.
Oh, get out of here.
My first boss in radio. Yes. I love him.
Oh?
Yes. He was my boss. Get out of here. Santita, if you would just do, just try this, just.
Yes. Oh.
Talk about waiting. This room of about 1,800 people have already believed that Brandon Johnson will become the next mayor of the city of Chicago. Brandon Johnson is in the building. We have the Marriott Marquis Grand Ballroom, and they're making an announcement right now. But the energy, the vibe, the electricity in this room, and Santita, you're absolutely right. Just about an hour ago, Paul Vallis was leading approximately 7,000 votes. With a half hour after, it was about 1,200 votes. And now, we've heard the uproar, we've seen it through the monitors here, and Brandon Johnson unofficially is up 1,100 votes over Paul Vallis, 50% to 49%. And this crowd, they're energized, they're ready, and they believe that Brandon Johnson will be the next mayor of the city of Chicago, either tonight or later on this month. And Commissioner Stanley Moore, who said back in August that he believed Brandon Johnson could lead this city, is here with us now, and he'd love to elaborate on this energy that's in this grand ballroom. Here's Commissioner Stanley Moore.
Excellent.
Hey, Santina, how are you?
I'm sending you much love. I'm sitting here with my girl, Patty Vasquez in Vidalia. Hey. And Matt Cummings is in the next room. What is going on over there?
Oh, my God, the room is on fire. Everyone is so excited. They're jubilant and dancing because when we first got here, Brandon was down, and now Brandon is in the lead. We predicted this. I predicted this. I was one of the first elected officials to endorse him in August. I said to him, "You're going to be the next mayor of Chicago."
What was it that you saw? I mean, because he was like in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
What did you see then that it took people time to see?
I got the opportunity to serve with Brandon Johnson on the Cook County Board of Commissioners. I saw a person who was dedicated, who would lock in on an issue, who would focus and would fight. And he would fight. Whenever he got to an issue that he believed in, he would fight for that cause. And I knew that if he kept up that type of energy, that type of commitment to making our communities better, he would be a great candidate. And then after watching him debate on the council floor, and then also watching him give his speeches, he believes in what he's saying. He's a man of compassion, and I know he could do it.
I love it.
And I just sent a tweet to Santita and Joan showing voter turnout, and the numbers for voters in the 55 to 64 and even older down significantly. So this is going to be a lot to do with young voters getting out there this time, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think young and old. I think short and tall. I think white and black. Everybody can appreciate someone like Brandon Johnson who cares for their community like he does. And let me tell you, Santina, let's not stop short. I haven't seen this since your brother's election. I was so excited about his election. He has the same compassion and commitment, and this is the type of people that I want to be around. People who care about our city.
Well, thank you so much for supporting my brother. But, we're really looking to find people who have servants' hearts. Because at the end of the day, these people work for us. And what I like about this particular breed of leadership, like you understand that. And you serve that way. You serve people. And really, that's the point. Because at the end of the day, people are hurting out here. People are struggling. People don't have enough to eat. People don't have enough money. People don't have. And so you need people who understand that. That's why I appreciate a Stacey Abrams. I appreciate a Brandon Johnson. His struggles are our struggles. All of us are trying to juggle our bills. What are you talking about? Everybody, I just have had a round of medical tests because I, like everybody, you get health issues sometimes. And even with great insurance, you get this bill from the hospital and you're like, what is this? It's a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a perfect servant. I want a public servant. I want
Nice.
someone who wants to serve me and who understands the problems that I have, who understands the challenges that I have. And so that's what gives me a lot of hope. But I tell you what, no matter what, I want someone who's going to help Chicago to win and make us win and help us to come together. I think Brandon's going to really help us to come together. And I know that no matter what happens, if Brandon Johnson becomes the mayor, he'll have to do outreach to Paul Vallis. And I think that he'll do that. And he should. And if Paul Vallis wins, he'll have to do outreach to Brandon supporters. And he should. And bring the city together. It will. That's coalition governments are very, very, they're very mature.
Yeah.
You know, so I've said enough. Go take that mic, girl.
About me, it's not about the elected official. It is about service. It's about making this community a better place.
That's right. That's right.
I absolutely agree. And I think that, you know, this was initially the night that we found out it was going to be Brandon Johnson and Paul Vallis in the runoff. It became immediately teachers versus cops, which I thought from the beginning was sort of a distressful way of framing all this.
Nuts.
It was because
it was a false choice.
It was a false choice because I'm always going to want to go. I'm always going to want to choose education and teachers and a place of growth and nurturing than this sort of like all the language that was used. Like there's going to be blood in the streets. It was one of the things. I mean, it'll be interesting. And to your point, if Paul Vallis wins, there's a lot of reconciliation that needs to happen. And the same thing for Brandon Johnson.
Absolutely. And, you know, but what we have to do is understand, hello, everybody, there is no magical Negro who's going to make everything come together. We're all going to have to grow up in our politics. And we're going to have to go up. Yes, I did say that because, you know, that's a trope. I think Brandon's going to bring us together. No. We have to bring ourselves together.
Yes.
We have to be at peace with the results and then achieve peace by coming together. What say you?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it that we have to come together. What do you think, sir? Have we lost him? No. You go enjoy the festivities.
At the party, girl. We're sitting up here in this room.
You go enjoy that party because we've. Go ahead.
Listen, the numbers right now are showing me 250,231 for Brandon, 246,415 for Paul Vallis. It's a nail biter, and you're absolutely right. When this is over, despite whoever wins, we all have to come together, and we still got to make the police department the best police department in the country, and we got to make our teachers and our schools the best schools in the country. It's not a separation of the two. We got to come together. We got to make this city work.
Absolutely, and I think someone has to call and has to really call the police, the head of the FOP out on the carpet and say, look, blood on the streets, love in the streets.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Yes.
That's what we need. Dr. King said, and it is the anniversary of the killing of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Let us not forget this, how ironic this is, but it's also the anniversary, the 56th anniversary of his speech against Vietnam and the military-industrial complex. Indeed, many people felt that was what sealed his assassination. Indeed, when he walked off the stage, Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, one of the preeminent Black theologian pastors of the last century, looked at him. He was his chief of staff, and he said, Martin, you've just signed your death warrant. He said, I know. He said, but I did. This was the right thing to do. And he was plagued with migraines for the rest of the year, and the death threats kept coming. And so, you know, we've got a lot of work to do.
We do.
We have a lot of work to do. I just love my Patty Vasquez.
Because we're cuddling around a microphone.
Well, no, I just, you know what? I love the fact that we can all come together. And plus, the women are running this place tonight. Boom.
Well, thank you so much. Who, again, remind folks who we've been talking to.
Who have we been talking to, Vidalia?
Moore, the
No. And Jerry Riles.
And Jerry Riles.
You know, Stanley, you know I know you.
Stanley, thank you so much.
Stanley's one of my brother's boys. Let me just put it right there. That's right. And he was the first to come out and endorse him. So I don't know if I should thank him because he took my brother away from me. I don't know. No, Stanley was like really literally the first person. Jonathan, you got to do this. Johnny was like, I got to get my last child out of college. What are you talking about? Oh no, Jonathan, you got to do it.
Stanley wasn't mad at me.
I'm mad with you.
We're not mad. I'm not mad.
No, I know. I love him. He made him do it. I'm very serious.
I believe you.
He did. Now, Stanley, are you going to be on my show in the morning? No, no. I'm going to call you. He's trying to get out of it.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know the number.
I'm playing with you, Stanley. I've got your number.
There you go.
You know I'm going to call you in the morning. See, he's running. He's running away from me right
He's
now.
going to celebrate. Go enjoy the evening. And we've been talking to the commissioner from the Brandon Johnson headquarters. We also have on the line with us. Have a good time. Now we're going to check in with State Representative Cam Buckner, who was also a candidate for mayor in the general election. Cam Buckner joins us right now.
We love him.
Hey, Rep, how you doing? Very well.
I'm doing fine. He's so cool,
isn't he? Though?
Yes.
So, how are what are your emotions like right now watching the returns come in?
It's crazy. It's tough. We knew that it was going to be a close race. We knew that it would be a nail biter. I don't think anyone expected that it would be this close. But it's tough to watch these come in. But I'm extremely excited about what we're seeing, the trends we're seeing, and we'll see how the night ends up.
So, what do you want to be the end result here? I mean, not the who, but the what. Where do you want to see Chicago going? Ooh.
In this country to lead movements and to lead conversations when it comes to policy and quality of life and making sure that people have what they need. And Chicago, it's time for us to step up. And so that is what I hope is the end result of tonight and the next 4 years, and hopefully the next 40 years.
And there's so many elements to living in Chicago that lend itself to whether you're safe and able to have access to resources, employment, education. I know that one of the big issues for you was public transportation and including pedestrian safety, bike safety, all those parts that I do think go into building a safer, stronger city, don't you?
I've often said, if you show me a public transit system that's not safe, I can show you a city that's not safe. If you show me a public transit system that has issues with unhoused people, I can show you a city with a housing issue, and so on and so forth. I even go as far as to remind people that the modern civil rights movement really was catapulted from the front of a public bus in Montgomery, Alabama in December of 1955. The way we move around and get around the city is going to be important. Is what creates some equity, and it also is why people choose to move here very often. I talked to so many people on the campaign trail who said they came to Chicago because it was a big city, it was a clean city, it was a safe city, it was a place that they did not need an automobile to move around. CTA, we've got a lot of work to do to fix it, and the next mayor is going to have to do that. Right now, it seems like the lights are on, but nobody's home there, and so we've got to hopefully put our money where our mouth is and create some equitable public transit for the people of the city.
Well, so what do we need to do? I often say that voting is the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end. That no matter who wins, there's a lot of work that the citizenry have to do. We have to be engaged with our elected officials like you to let you know constantly what it is that we need. I mean, you might not get who you want. That's what happens in politics. It's what happens in life. But you can always seize the opportunity to get what you need. What would you, give us a civics class. What should we be doing?
Unfortunately, we have really operated in a space where we have had elected officials tell the community what they need and what they want, when it should be the other way around. It should be the community informing those of us who have chosen the vocation of public service what is required of us. And so, I'm really focused on, as we move forward and all the votes are counted and we figure out who the next mayor is, that we begin to do the work on every single level of government to make sure that people are part of the equation and the conversation, not just every 4 years or every 2 years when we're making our decision at the ballot box, but when we When we have conversations about policy, when I take that ride down to Springfield every week on 55, I'm bringing with me the thoughts and the ideas and the observations and the life experiences of the people who I represent in my district. And all of us need to be able to do that, but we have to find ways to engage people and to energize them and to excite them about the process.
I was wondering what your thoughts were on how close this race is right now, because there were people projecting that Vallis, because there was such strong turnout in precincts of the 41st ward, and conversely, precincts in Mount Greenwood and in areas where there was a lot
majority
of first
white wards.
Yes, majority white wards, and I think earlier today they were saying that turnout for Brandon Johnson's strongest precincts, only 2 of them were in the top 10, but we're seeing a pretty good surge here. What are your thoughts as we watch these returns?
Talking about not the class and the pollster class, they still have not answered for Trump 2016 or Light for 2019, so I don't believe them. Most times when we talk about
keep going back.
What's going to happen in the race. Those white wards, and I think that we're seeing different tonight. And so, listen, this should remind people around the city that every single vote counts. That being a part of the process is important, and it's not over until it's over.
And we're also seeing results from wards all over the city, and I think that there has been a lot of energy focused on communities where either there was outside interests putting in money, and as somebody who's elected, who's run for office several times, often we think, oh well, who are these folks beholden to? Is that something that you were looking at this race, where the money comes from, where the support comes from, that kind of shapes the way we talk about these races? Hello? Yeah. Okay.
One way or another in this space. There are special interests on both sides trying to push their agenda. Being the mayor of Chicago is an extremely important job. It's one of the most powerful political positions in this country, and so people are going to try to get in and influence and wield whatever kind of power they can to make it happen. But I don't know so much that the next mayor is going to be beholden to someone. They need to be beholden to the people of Chicago.
Yes,
that's what it needs to
Thank
be.
you.
Yes.
Amen to that. I mean, and that's where the voter education, the citizenship training has to come in, because we have to understand that we do have a responsibility to hold people accountable in a respectful way, everybody. And so that you may or may not get who you want, but you got to get what you need. You got to get what you need. Going forward, how can the city be brought together? I mean, because we can see that no matter what, there's going to be a split.
That'll be a very important part of the work that the next mayor needs to begin. If the results are finished tonight, then work needs to begin tomorrow to kind of bring the city together. I very often say that there's a few ways that a mayor can govern the city. Right? There are mayors who are like CEOs, where the bottom line and the shareholders are the people who are the most important people in their equation. There are mayors who operate like an army general, where they bark orders down the chain. But there are also mayors that operate like a symphony conductor. And that's what Chicago needs right now.
Yes.
We need someone who can bring us together, not to make the oboists sound more like the cellists, but to make them sound good together. This is a city of a lot of differing backgrounds, a lot of folks who have different priorities. And a mayor needs to find a way to bring us all together. This is about unity. It's not about division. It's about addition. It's not about subtraction.
I love that. I'm a musician. He just got my heart, plucked my heartstrings.
I'm a drummer.
You're a musician. That's all right.
No, I'm just saying, if I'm part of this this orchestra, I just like to hit the drum every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's more cowbell. Yes. Rep, we are so grateful for your time, and Santita, I know that we're big fans.
And for your service. It was so wonderful watching you run, because you are brilliant. You've got a servant's heart. And we're all looking for great things from you as you continue to go forward. Do not stop. State Representative Cam Buckner. Don't stop.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night. We're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we're going to continue our election night coverage. Santita Jackson and I are in studio. Joan will rejoin us at 9 o'clock. And right now, we'll take a break. And
she'll rejoin you.
Well, yes.
I love you.
You have to go. You have to go and get some rest. Yeah. I promise.
Yeah. But I think we have someone coming up who I know.
You need to take a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a quick break here. And then we're going to talk to someone that you maybe know.
Maybe, I don't know. You know.
Why are we at? So these two mics, she sounds real low on.
Yeah, so I have all three. Matt said he turned off the third mic.
Don't worry about it. Patty and I got this on. We're just going to keep on pushing this back and forth.
You touch your brother. I don't know. I'm teasing.
I was saying, please.
All right. So Villegas is going to win. It looks like Ruth Cruz, although I mean it's within 3 points. My girl ran
within 3 points.
3%. Sorry.
Wow. No. I got it. What about Gutierrez?
That's what I'm saying. Gutierrez is down by 3.
I can't see.
So Jessica is down by 3%.
Okay.
Telfiero is down by about 1%.
Of our own ears.
Villegas is up by 18, 17. Knudsen's up by 3. This is my ward. Oof.
150
my ward has got it on off too. 5.
You're 5 here.
Mm-hmm.
You are Yancey is up by 3.
You know, I'm just going to wait because my stomach is.
Yeah.
No. It was a tourist visit, like these real tourists up here.
Okay, Brandon. Is up a little bit more, 50.7, 49.3.
Between truth and lies.
Wow, is that close?
It's close, but it's
promising.
And subscribe to us.
Depending upon where you are, because everybody's not happy tonight. But I am.
I am.
We all are. Wait a minute, come on.
We're happy.
I own a home just like appliances in my home on a warranty plan. They're guaranteed to be fixed or replaced. You know how expensive an air conditioner, the heating system.
No, don't breathe yet.
But still, I mean, at least it wasn't.
For about $1 a day.
No, don't breathe yet.
I'm not breathing, but it wasn't a blowout. I was worried the valve was going to take it running away.
No, I didn't think so. You know, the energy. You know, and I think we have to go back to 1983, which you would not remember.
I was in 6th grade, and my teacher was okay with my class going, Epton, he's our man because we don't want no African.
Well, wait a minute. No, you didn't see the Chicago T-shirt.
I didn't see the
Chicago.
No, I forgot about that.
Oh, no, you walking down the street when we boycotted Chicago Fest, which gave rise to the Washington candidacy. We were downtown at Navy Pier. They moved us away from Navy Pier over to Lake Point Tower. That's where the picket line was. And we had to bring food because we couldn't eat downtown because there was so much hostility, and people were wearing Chicago T-shirts, and they would have black people eating watermelon.
No.
Oh, come on, wait a minute.
I mean, I know. I just forgot.
Patty, I grew up in a city where all the mayors were in Bridgeport. Bridgeport was essentially a sundown place. You couldn't be there as a black person.
As recently as 10 years ago. Wasn't there?
Come on now.
Mike going home.
Are we? Oh, we're live. Well, all right. Hi. I think you know somebody who might be on the line with us right now, Santita Jackson.
Jerry Wiles, who do you have with you right now?
I got a judge, Santita and Patty. We have the spirits are flowing here. The food is flowing. There are hosting tickets being passed around the borders of Brandon Johnson, and you can hear the cheers in the background. But we still have the Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
Oh, I think I know him. Hello, Congressman Jonathan Jackson. I love you. I love you, everyone. For those of you who don't know, this is my brother for real. Patty Vasquez is with us in Vidalia Tejada. What's going on? What do you see down there, Congressman Jackson?
I see a grassroots movement. I see the superiority and organizational skills. And Brandon Johnson is just taking the lead as announced on the television. It's a people's movement. Brandon's going to win it. It's going to be a new day in Chicago.
You know, your I believe your sister has a lot to say about what it really means on election night, because we're not counting all of our chickens
before they
hatch. So we've been focusing a lot on what is necessary from this day going forward, with all the vitriol, the language back and forth. Race came into it, class came into it. We've talked a lot about education and public transportation, and of course policing. How do we sort of rectify the nastiness that has erupted during these last few weeks?
Yeah, conversations have to be extended to olive branches. I've not been very impressed with the tone and tenor of the conversation that's been going on, that these are two very honorable men in my eyesight. We can have differences of opinion, but there's certainly differences in direction. But no, I think they're both fine men. I would say that. And Mr. Balance, I've worked with him over the years. I've worked with Commissioner Johnson. So the healing has to be immediately for the sake of everyone. The city of Chicago has big issues to challenge. We've got underfunded pensions. We've got a mass exodus that's leaving the South Side and the West Side. We've got skyrocketing rents. The city's becoming unaffordable across the board. We have to look at the GDP has to grow. The city of Los Angeles continues to grow. Their rents are more expensive. The city of New York continues to grow. The GDP is as high as that of Los Angeles, and Chicago is falling off. This is what has to be dealt with all speed, post-haste, alacrity, turn the economic conditions around. What's making people leave this region that should be so welcoming? And I would say that people leave primarily for two reasons: for greater opportunity and for greater safety. We've got to bring safety under range in the city of Chicago. The carjacking and other things, but I do think that there's hope in the idea of investing in the root causes of what's creating the crime spree in the city of Chicago. Of course, you've got to stop it immediately. Going to have to increase the policing. Got to solve the crime. 86% of the murders that happen in the city of Chicago are unsolved. That's not acceptable. So we will handle that. And so I'm excited for the day. I'm excited for Chicago. And I applaud both men and both camps for having made a very enthusiastic campaign. And once again, the language has to change. They're both decent and honorable people. That's what I stand.
What do you think changed for Brandon Johnson, Commissioner Brandon Johnson, Congressman Jackson? I mean, he was in the middle last summer, but he's gone from strength to strength to strength. What has happened?
He ran citywide. He's an organizer by definition. Look at how he won the county commissioner seat. I mean, he went straight up against Commissioner Richard Boykin. You know, he's very methodical. He knows the science of campaigning. He has a message that we can understand, and the people heard it. Everyone heard it. There are no secrets. There are no surprises, and his message connected. People wanted to hear about investing in the root causes of the issues that can turn crime around in the city. We know, living on the south and west side and other parts of the community, that the process of getting into select enrollment school is absolutely atrocious. We still remember when so many African American teachers had been expelled, kicked off, and there was a two-tier system. We were out, City Chicago went without a formal educator at the top of our public school system for almost 20 years. We went from quote unquote a CEO of public schools. Come on. It's supposed to be a superintendent state certified. We went from like a CEO model, then to a policeman and Ron Huberman, and then to Arnie Duncan. These aren't educators that were at the top of our school system. This has been a 20-year push to knock us off the cliff. Now we got to go back and build our public school system. You know, we started in the major metropolitan areas, the chartering of major schools. Just 10 years ago, we lost 50 elementary schools in one day, the largest elementary school closure in the history of this nation. And every neighborhood that lost a public school has not recovered since then. So now it's time to invest back in the city. We're down to 2.6 million residents. We're falling off, but we can turn it around. And I feel hope in this room tonight here at the Mount March here on what do you call it now, King Drive. So I'm excited for South Beach.
I love the energy, the passion, and I know that whoever is the next mayor of Chicago, that you will be working closely with them to elevate all of the issues that are important to you and the people of your community. We have to run because we have a lot of folks to check in with. We're also going to check in with the race in Wisconsin for the Supreme Court. But I am so grateful to have, we've been talking to Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
That's right.
No relation. Oh, wait a minute. To you, not to me, but certainly Santita Jackson.
He's my brother, and I love him.
Love you. Can I say love you, Congressman? Love you, Congressman.
Yes.
Thank you. Go get him.
He said love you to both of us.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'll take it. We are. We're also checking in. Are we checking in with our friends up north? We're going to check in with Pat Kreitlow.
Yeah.
Hi, Pat. Are you on the line with us from Up North News to check in? We are excited to hear about. Are there any numbers in yet? Because just to give you an update, here in Chicago, with 92.5% reporting, Brandon Johnson is up by more than 7,000 votes right now. So we want to see, are there any numbers yet for how the races are going in Wisconsin, in particular the Supreme Court race with Janet Protasewicz and Daniel Kelly?
Yes, as a matter of fact, nearly half the votes are counted already, about 46%, according to the Associated Press. And at this point, the progressive candidate, Janet Protasewicz, has nearly 58% of the vote to 42% for conservative former Justice Dan Kelly. And as I'm looking at the numbers county by county, the big story here has been the immense turnout in Dane County, which is Madison, Milwaukee County, of course. And one of the video clips that pretty much went viral around Wisconsin was my alma mater, UW-Eau Claire, where students were lined up all throughout the student union to vote. And in Eau Claire County, again, that went about 63% for Janet Protasewicz. Dan Kelly is leading in many of the rural and conservative counties, but not by nearly the margin that Janet Protasewicz is leading in more counties that lean Democratic. So at the moment, again, with just under 50% of the votes in, Janet Protasewicz has a comfortable lead. But again, it's only comfortable for what we have reported so far.
Because we have there are people on Twitter that are already calling it for Judge Protasewicz, but you're saying hang tight until we know more.
Mm-hmm.
% of the vote in Washington County to 70% in Waukesha County. So there's still a lot of votes to be counted, but for Dan Kelly to win, he has to get those numbers up even higher in those suburban Milwaukee counties. He has to do better in Brown County around Green Bay, where he has a 57 to 43 percentage point lead right now. And again, there's still a lot of rural counties to hear from. We don't know if the rural counties perhaps had turnout as big as some of these urban counties did. And if so, then we have to pay attention, because back in 2019, a lot of folks thought the progressive candidate, Lisa Neubauer, had the race won. But in the end, Brian Hagedorn, a conservative, squeaked out a very narrow 6,000 vote victory statewide. So we have learned that you go ahead and run all the way through the tape before you call anything here.
Run all the way through the tape. What do you anticipate? Why has she done so well? I just have simple questions.
Of course, the main answer is the Dobbs decision. She was very early to say that she was not going to say how she would vote in a specific case, but that she was fundamentally supportive of a woman's right to decide what to do with her own body. And women and their allies in Wisconsin who were predisposed to get invested in this race anyway flocked to her because of that candor in stating her values. It's something that conservatives have done with a wink and a nudge forever. But now with Janet Protasewicz, progressives see a chance to do something that hasn't been done in Wisconsin in 15 years. Conservatives have controlled this court for 15 years. By comparison, Scott Walker and Republicans took over the legislature up here 12 years ago. So that Supreme Court race prior to that was very much a harbinger. But now, for the first time in 15 years, progressives could take control of the court, and that would not only allow them to visit Wisconsin's 1849 abortion ban. Yes, I said that right. Our abortion ban after Roe v. Wade was scrapped from 1849 is now in effect. But it also could mean the court could revisit the most rigged gerrymandered maps in the country. So for both women's health issues and the issues of democracy itself, you see why so many people were motivated to turn out to.
And I did see that there was a lot of energy coming from labor unions across Wisconsin to remind people how close they came to be. Is Wisconsin a right to work state, or was that something that was at risk?
Oh, no, that was one of those things. You know, Scott Walker never said he was going to declare war on public sector employee unions in 2010, and then he did. And then when Scott Walker was running for re-election in 2014, he said, you know, these right-to-work anti-union things, they aren't a priority for me. And yet, a month after he took his second term of office, they passed that bill right away as well. So, again, something that people would love to see rolled back in time if we're seeing what we might be seeing, which is the gradual dismantling of the Walker era.
Wow. It's an era.
It's an era. Yeah, it's
an era. It's an era. But do you think that this court will deal with the maps? Because the gerrymandering in the state is just, well, you're one of the most gerrymandered states in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, what will that be? Is there a case that is on track to deal with that? Because this is what's impacting Democrats all over the country.
Yeah.
The difference here is that, you know, this court, with the right lawsuit, can go back and revisit these maps. The court can draw its own map. This current conservative court chose instead to embrace a map written by Republican legislators, and then the U.S. Supreme Court upheld that. However, the right case could come up that would invoke state law, which rather than the Voting Rights Act, which calls for these districts to be as compact as possible, and that the court could have the latitude to redraw maps on their own. And that indeed could happen under a progressive court. It's certainly what a lot of people hope will happen. It won't happen overnight, but if Dan Kelly wins tonight, it won't happen at all, and Republicans will dominate government here for another decade.
Whew, there's so much on the line. We're grateful for your time, Pat. Pat Kreitlow joins us from Up North News. Where can folks find your work, and how can they follow and support what you do?
You can find us at upnorthnewswi.com, and if you look for Up North News WI on social media, you'll also find a link to the radio show that I host across the state weekdays from 6 to 8. But again, upnorthnewswi.com is our main website.
Outstanding. Have a great night. And I look forward to touching base with you sometime soon. We'd love to have you on my show.
And mine too.
And Santita is on. We get you getting ready for work and driving home at the end of the day.
I'm going to have to get him up real early. He's not going to like me very much.
I love hearing from you. Thank you so much, our friend Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. Have a great night. And I have a character to introduce you to, the mastermind by Brewing Company. Kirk Bangstead joins us. He is at Janet Protasewicz's election night headquarters right now. You're on with me and Santita Jackson right now. Kirk, how's it going there?
How you doing, Patty? You just said you were talking to Pat Kreitlow. He's my main man.
Well, you're both our main guys. Progressives.
Well, no, your votes are not counted.
That's right.
You exist.
Yes.
The gerrymandering kind of gets you.
That's right. So tell us about the energy at the headquarters right now.
So everybody is still pretty nervous, but it's starting to get packed. It's hot as heck in this place. There's Washington Post is here. I mean, everybody's here at this party. We just heard that there's 45% of the votes counted so far, and Janet's up by 17 points. That doesn't mean really anything, but it's way better than her being down 17 points, I guess. And there's people are excited. I mean, this is a legendary, legendary place. Our state is, it's on the cusp of something huge. and this is the room where she's going to win or lose, and we're all rooting for her. And so, I mean, the energy is palpable. It's exciting, and if Wisconsin can't pull this off, I don't know what we can do. I mean, we've been trying, and this is kind of the end of it. We got Evers elected. If we can do this, then we can undo gerrymandering. We can get women's reproductive rights back in Wisconsin. We might be able to sue to get teachers' unions back. There's so much stuff we can do if Janet gets elected.
And I know that there's been so much work from all parts of the state. You've been out there. You've had billboards amplifying the message of Janet for justice. What have you run into as far as, people have, obviously there are the conservatives who want to keep things the way they are. They're concerned that, if we give it over to the progressives, it's going to, give Wisconsin to the socialists. What are you hearing?
I don't think so. I mean, this is just my bias, and obviously I'm in a bubble. But all I've heard is that this is a once in a blue moon opportunity to get good government back. And I don't even think the Republicans like Dan Kelly. I mean, this guy is, Janet is like a grandmotherly figure. She just smiles freely. She looks good. I mean, this Dan Kelly guy helped advise the fraudulent electors in Wisconsin to be fraudulent electors. I mean, he's just devious. I can't imagine if he wins tonight, I'll be flabbergasted. But Wisconsin, you can never be too cocky in Wisconsin, because it's always neck and neck.
What are the so is Janet at the headquarters yet, or are they kind of waiting until they have more numbers?
In a room, probably looking at returns and waiting as people come and fill in place.
By the way, Kirk, I don't know if you have followed our race at all, but some numbers are in, and Brandon Johnson's lead has expanded to almost 3%. Almost, 2.5, 2.7.
It just when we came in 2 hours ago, he was down by 4.
That's right.
Then within the hour, she was down by 2. Then it was a razor thin edge that Vallis had, and now, and then he moved slightly ahead, and the lead continues to grow. What do you think that these elections say about where the country is?
Kirk?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
All I know from a beer perspective, I knew that Lori Lightfoot liked my beer. So
But you know what? You're looking at two progressives, or people. Just relatively speaking, an unbridled progressive is Brandon Johnson, but you have people who want to move in a progressive direction, and the people are pushing them to do so, which is interesting.
probably going to move more progressive, just because that's the world right now. I think it's like you got to take sides because things are kind of existential, I think, in America.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the work that you've done, a business that you reimagined. I mean, he took this is during the pandemic that he created Progressive Brew. I mean, people probably thought you were crazy. You probably felt crazy in, up north in a very red part of Wisconsin. Yeah. Oh, wait, what's happening? Uh-oh.
The room.
Oh, boy.
So, by the way, our friend Terry Cosgrove, the former executive director of Personal Pack, just messaged and said, Cook Political just called Wisconsin for Janet, but I want to say that the work that you've done with Choice Seltzer, with amplifying so many important messages of women's autonomy and reproductive health, whether it's in this race or by the messaging that you do through your company and everything. I'm just so grateful to collaborate with you, to call you a friend. And it's just exciting to be joining you tonight as you check in with us from the election night headquarters of Janet Protasewicz.
Pat, it's great to be your friend too. I never thought I would be doing this at this time, but Wisconsin needed help, and somehow or another, I felt like I had to do something, and so I made a lot of beer. I made a lot of suggested beer. I raised a lot of money. We raised about $1 million. We spent on Tony Beavers. We spent on Mandela Barnes. We spent on Janet Protasewicz. So I'm doing the best I can. A lot of people about making our state clean again.
Well, we want to thank you for showing us that we can do well while we do good. Blessings to you.
So the AP is calling it too. Breaking from AP, Democratic-backed Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Janet for Justice wins race against Republican-backed Justice Dan Kelly. That means liberals will control the court 4-3 starting in August with abortion rights and gerrymandering and labor rights on the line.
Hey.
Yay!
Woo! Do we have sound effects?
Okay. All right, go celebrate, Kirk. We're so grateful for you. Enjoy your evening, and I look forward to tipping one back with you soon. Crack one open for me. All right.
Yay.
He's got a new brew coming up, but I can't tell you this.
Well, okay. Yay.
Do we have someone we need to check in with before we go to the news, or we're okay?
I'm going to be leaving you.
Oh, you're leaving me,
my lovely.
So, Santita, don't just leave us, but as you carry on this evening and continue to listen and follow the results. How are you feeling right now?
You know what? I am very, very excited, and I'm very excited for the growth that I see in Chicago, the growth that I see in the country, the growth that I see in the world. I see people beginning to stand up. Well, not standing up for themselves. When I think that 55 years ago tonight, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was killed. And a year to the day, to the minute before that, he faced down the military-industrial complex. April 4th, 1967, just after 6 p.m., he walked into that pulpit at Riverside Church and said that he was against the war. As he walked out, Reverend Dr. White T. Walker said, "You've just signed your death warrant." He said, "I know, but it was the right thing to do." A year to the day, to the minute, just after 6 p.m., April 4th, 1968, he was killed on that balcony while he was talking to my father and to Ben Branch. But I look at us tonight, and I think of him and his books, A Strength to Love. Where do we go from here, chaos or community? And I see people choosing community. With all the struggles that we have, that's why I don't demonize Vallis supporters. Paul Vallis is a good man. He's a good man. I don't agree with a lot of his direction, but I don't doubt his heart. I don't doubt that he wants what he feels is best. I just don't agree with his model. When I look at President Trump, I've never disrespected him, and you know that, Bedelia. He's a human being. I don't agree with his manner, but I do know that when we opened the Wall Street Project, he said, "You know what? Black people aren't getting their fair shake on Wall Street. So let me help you, Reverend Jackson. Let me do that." And I just believe somewhere inside of every human being is a place that can be touched so that we can begin to come together and do the work. No one is perfect, but we can be perfected. And that is what I see America really struggling to get to. I see, as Dwight McKee said at the beginning of the show, we have ideological differences. I mean, you saw Black professionals moving toward Paul Vallis, and you saw white populists moving toward Brandon. And then some white people on the lakefront who said, "No, I want Brandon." And then some Black folks on the south side, "No, I want Vallis." I can't demonize them. What I can do now is whatever happens, we've got to come together so we can make this city what it's supposed to be. I think 40 years ago when I went to Whitney Young, it was this beacon on the hill. I mean, the superintendent of schools pulled his daughter out of the high school she was in to go there. The CTU president's son went there. Senator Burris's children went there, on and on and on. And I wasn't aware of that because I had to really test in because my father was so controversial. That having been said, and I'm not saying that they did not, but I just know I didn't have any space. But I want South Shore High School. I want Finger. I want all of the schools to be that endowed. I want every hospital to be as endowed as Northwestern and Rush. I want, and I think that more and more people want that, and that's what makes me feel good about tonight. And I think that I see Dr. King cheering us on from eternity, and that's why I got a little emotional as I thought about him, because I thought about a man at 39 who had been taken away from his wife and 4 children, and I saw that he was willing to sacrifice his life. Know that the last year of his life was pure hell. He couldn't get into a black pulpit. He couldn't get into the white one. He had a little more than 30% approval in the black community, 70+% disapproval in the white community. It was a horrible thing that J. Edgar Hoover did to him, trying to get him to kill himself and all of that. And I see Americans moving in another direction. I see the world beginning to move in another direction, and that makes me feel good.
I feel good hearing you say that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
But
you
we're
for
going to
that
have to
perspective.
fight.
Yeah. Oh,
we
no,
got to
no.
continue.
No, but we get to take a breath here.
The struggle continues. Victory is certain as long as you continue the struggle.
Continue the struggle.
Alua continua. The struggle continues.
And the struggle to get enough sleep tonight.
I'm not going to get any.
Get some sleep.
No, I'm not. But I'm good.
Meditate.
You know
Pray.
what? I'm good. I know I want to sit up. I want to watch everything. And I want to be I want to be in this moment because this is a very, very exciting moment. It's an exciting moment. I mean, we're charged up here at the station, but we're not anti anybody. We're pro Chicago. And like I said, Paul Vallis is a good man. Brandon Johnson is a good man. We want them to come together and heal the city but they can't do it without each other. That's the way God has worked it out.
Agreed.
And so I'm all right with that.
Thank you so much, Santita. Santita, of course, on the air at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Get some rest. We will continue with our election night coverage. Joan is going to join me in just a moment.
I love you, Patty.
I love you, Miss Santita Jackson. Love all of your fans listening, watching as well.
They're yours too. When can they hear you?
At 5 to 7 p.m. now, Monday through Friday. We'd love to have you all join me as well and watch live. Everyone can watch live on the Facebook live stream for WCPT.
And where will you be appearing? She's a fantastic comedian.
I'm going to be this Thursday at the Cheney Mansion in Oak Park. We have tickets available, so you can reach out to the Cheney Mansion.
And your website?
Website. Well, follow me on Facebook, Patty Vasquez, Patty V Show, Patti V Show.
Okay. All right.
Good night, everybody over there watching us. Good night.
Follow this girl.
Yeah, stay watching, listen to the show. Joan will join us in just a moment. We'll take a break here, and our election night coverage continues after this.
Love you, Bedalia.
Yes.
All right, kids. Patty, why don't you speak to them right now and let them know how they can find you?
Yes, please come follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, Patty Vasquez CHI, and we talk about everything nationally as well. And I'm excited to talk to you guys. Please call in. I know that you always have great callers. I have to learn how to use StreamYard. I know that is it better than using Zoom?
Yeah, because it puts you on several different platforms.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, so that's what you need, and because people want to see you.
Yeah,
that's something Bedalia was on me about. And no, and I thank God for that because she knew all this other stuff because she's a genius, but I can't figure all that out.
Now, can they hear what we're with the
right
call,
now?
Even the listeners
right now.
I mean the guests.
Yeah.
How do you have that?
Well, the thing is, what's happened? Since I changed iPads, that changed. Okay. My old iPad, I didn't need the timeline. I could there was a little device I could plug in and you were able to hear the radio station. That's no longer the case.
So you can't hear the radio station right now?
No. Now you can.
What you need to plug in?
But that's why I had to pull everything up here because that's the way they reconfigure the iPad. That's the way that works. But this is important because people love hearing the cross talk during the break and they love seeing you. So do that.
Okay, I will get my StreamYard
StreamYard account so you can connect Facebook YouTube, you'll be able to stream on all of
the
these
platforms
at the same time.
All right, I'm on it. I will get that going. I promise.
Yeah, that's what you need to do.
That's
That's why I bring this. That's why I bring this in, because our people want to know. So I love you, Morning Stars. I will see you. And Patty, tell them again where they can see you.
5 to 7 p.m. Central. 5 to 7 p.m. Central Time, and right here, WCPT 820. We have our live stream, but I'm going to figure out how to use StreamYard and get that up on my platforms as well.
I'll connect you to someone who will help you with that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yep.
No, I will do that. I'll do that.
Thank you.
She knows.
I don't know. All right.
But if you want, I have someone who can help you with that.
Excellent. I'm gonna run to the ladies' room. You have a
you
wonderful
go,
evening.
because I'm coming right behind you. I love you, everybody. Wow, how exciting is this? I mean,
it was too intense for me.
I can tell, but I mean, girl, you're like,
All through the day,
we're not done yet.
Asthma was acting up because I was so worried. But at the same time, I figured since the young people didn't show out the first time, I figured they would come out for Brandon Johnson.
But you got to give them something to come out for.
Yes.
See, likability is really important.
Yeah.
People need to like you.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to like you even when you're being attacked. So just keep that in mind. People need to know that you love them more than that. That no matter what, you love them. You love them. I hope my audience understands that I love them. I do. I love you, Bedalia. I do. Oh, I miss you too. I miss my Bedalia. How are you doing?
I'm good.
So I'm gonna cut off now. I love you all. I'm gonna go home so that I can follow everything, because I want to hear I want to hear the speeches tonight and that. But remember, everybody, wish everybody well. Don't wish anyone ill. And because a double-minded man, according to the Bible, is unstable in all of his ways. A double-minded woman is unstable in all of her ways. We need to love, and you need to have the strength and the courage to do so. So let's come on and get our city together. Let's get our country together. Let's get our world together. We can do it. We are but a thought away from changing the way the world works. The world can favor all of us. All of us. All of us matter. We're all God's children. I love everybody. I'll see you in the morning. Mwah.